All right, here's another project with the Mecalac 6 MCR, and this is the finalized product. It is a 500-gallon fuel tank for diesel for the Mecalac and my little tractor as I'm building out this property. So I bought this last year off of a guy in the middle of nowhere, and he was getting rid of his tank. So this is what it looked like before I did anything to it. It looked rusty, but I think it was just some brown reddish paint with some spots of exposed metal and rust. I had to weld this tab on the top just so I could use my Mecalac and pick the tank up. Didn't really have any other good way to lift this thing. I just had some scrap metal, this little square tab. I welded here and then I welded one on the other side. So my original plan was after I tore down this old barn, I found this roughly 5x6 concrete pad in that old barn, and I was just going to use that pad. And you can see me lifting up that piece. Obviously, it broke as I was transferring it from the barn over to here. It cracked, so I still thought maybe um, I can still salvage this. All I need to do is build a pad with some ground base, and as long as that's level, I should be able to make it work and not have to pour a new concrete pad for this fuel tank. One of my big complaints about this machine is the fork setup. Whenever you set the forks down, they're so top heavy that they actually just fall down, and you need something to hold the end up or have a pallet on it or something. So that's why I had to set it under the fence. Okay, now I have this somewhat leveled. Again, this is just, I'm kind of test fitting this concrete pad to see if it would even work. So I'm going to try and lift this old concrete piece and put them together like a crappy little puzzle. So this is me trying to do that. Well, for some reason my video cut off, but there she stands. It's just a rough draft. I was gonna see if this pad even works. I didn't even break out the level or anything, but we'll see how this, see if this stays, or we need to forget about the little concrete thing with the missing corner and maybe try something else. Already things aren't looking that great. I was thinking I was going to somehow save some time if I didn't have to pour my own concrete, and if it wasn't too ghetto and ugly, maybe I would have saved some time. So here I am. I'm trying to flatten out this little piece of ground underneath the pad and get it like perfectly level, so that when I place the pad on there and secure it down, it is gonna hold it in the right way. So I'm gonna try and compact this ground. I have this plate compactor for a skid steer, and that thing will compact some ground. Now I'm just trying to get this nice and level, and you'll see me screeing the ground with my level. Anyway, this takes me a while to mess around with.
was going to use that chunk of concrete to put this thing on, but there's no rebar in it, and just dropping it on the ground shattered it. So guess I'm gonna have to pour my own concrete for this tank, or could put down gravel. Not sure, but I'm gonna call that good for now, at least on this. I'll get this concrete out of here and throw it away, and well, guess I'm gonna try my hand at some concrete work. It's just a little pad, pretty easy to do. I've done one before.
So I'm not one to sit on a project too long. I always like to be pretty busy. So instead of regrouping and coming back at this another day, I decided to go ahead and build some forms for my own concrete. So I'm making this a 6x6. Just gonna move this concrete out with my little tractor, and I'm gonna start pounding down these stakes, trying to square it up. I've got these little concrete stakes. You can pound them in and then screw right through them, and it'll hold these boards up. So all the work that I just got through doing, making sure that ground was perfectly level, is kind of a waste since I'm just pouring a concrete pad anyway. And I'm making this pad with a slight downhill grade to the right. That way most of the fuel wants to slosh forward when it gets low. Well, you missed the first part, but I ended up buying a little concrete mixer at Lowe's, and I've got it set up on my trailer back there, and I'm basically lifting up the 80-pound bags of Quikrete, mixing 2 of them, dumping that into my tractor bucket, and using my tractor bucket to bring that over to the concrete pad. So I did a lot of heavy lifting today, and I thought I could do this all by myself. I just hadn't planned on how long it would take to mix and bring the bags over to the form. But I just watched a video of this guy showing you how to do these solo jobs, and what I should have done is poured all the concrete at one edge of the form, and I would have screed the top of that as I continued to add more concrete in the other side of the form. And another thing I forgot to think about was getting the rebar put in. Sometimes I'll put in mesh fence panels, kind of ties it together on these cheap little pads. But I found some old fence posts lying around and decided I would throw these in there for my rebar. It's better than nothing. I have some going vertically and some going horizontally, sort of tying it all together, but better than nothing, I guess. I had some guys helping me do some other things on the house, and I ended up calling them over And while I mixed and poured, they started screeding the concrete. And my camera cut out. And this is sort of the final product. Got a decent little pad. Not too bad. Next day, I decided to wash the tank, get rid of all the dirt, and I was just going to do direct to metal paint using my air sprayer. So I didn't get all the video footage, but here's me just painting the last part of this tank, and I already got through painting the tank stand.
Burning the midnight oil. I want to put this tank, after painting it, on top of my tank holder. I'll probably need a second coat, but that's okay.
So I get this up on the tank stand. I didn't scratch it up too much. I mean, the paint's still wet pretty much. I was able to get the shut-off valve and the fuel filter all installed. Uh, it was like midnight or 1 a.m. by the time I finished with it. So next day, the fuel delivery guy finally came. I mean, I was pretty dang excited. That's why I was working so hard the night previous to get all this done. Um, I put some fuel treatment in there. He's going to give me some farm diesel. That's the dyed stuff, which is about 260 a gallon instead of the 330 or 350. So not too bad. Anyway, finally gets here, fills it up, got almost 500 gallons in there, and overall, I'm pretty excited. I was talking to him about his truck and looking at all the shut-off valves and pressure regulators. He's a pretty nice guy, and I was pretty grateful that he was willing to come back at the end of his day and fill this tank up, even though it was snowing and freezing cold. Let me just tell you, I was really tired of filling up the Mecalac with 5 gallon things of diesel. 500 gallons, $1,466. Not too bad. Said he did leave a little gap, but that he recommends me draining a little bit of it so that when it heats up and expands, it doesn't go over. So I'll have to do that. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, like and subscribe if you want to see more Mecalac MCR projects.